What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Hardcore Fab Shop, and welcome back to the Hardcore Fab channel. And on this video today, as promised, I'm going to go over all of the costs associated with building a vet cart. That's right, we finally got to the point where I've got everything bought for the vet cart, and it is a running and driving car at this point, so I can, in fact, give you an exact cost breakdown of what I've got in this car. Before we jump off into all of these numbers, I am going to let you guys know that I did round all of my parts prices up to the nearest dollar, and I did that for a little bit easier math. And also, I bought all these parts over the course of the last year, so some of these parts have actually changed in price from where they are when I bought them. So your guys' totals, if you were to buy this, could be a little bit different. Having that said, a lot of these parts are actually trending on the downward stroke, so that's actually good for you guys. So you can actually be in this a little bit cheaper than what I am. I also made a link to as many parts as I could, and I put those links in the description down below. So if you guys want to try to recreate any of this stuff for yourself, that'll be where you'll find the parts to do it at. And keep in mind, if you do buy any of this stuff through one of those links, it does help the channel out a little bit, and we greatly appreciate that. And while I'm talking, I am going to try to go ahead and finish up this hood panel that's going to go on the front of the car, so we can have all that cleaned up and looking pretty good up there, because that empty spot just doesn't do it for me. So to start off with, I bought the car for right at $1,000. Got a pretty good deal on it from a buddy of mine. And it was a running and driving car, so that's important to note because technically I could have at that point just pulled the body off and put the cage on and had a vet cart at that point. Alright, so since some of you are probably not going to want to maybe do the LS swap or maybe at least not do it right off the bat, I'm going to start out with just the body and cage work and stuff like that and the cost involved to be able to do that. Starting with the price of the car. Like I said, I gave $1,000 for mine. That probably was a little bit better deal than what most will find, but those deals are out there. A buddy of mine had just bought one for $1,500, and the body's in pretty sad shape on it, but it does run and drive. He had a little bit of wiring stuff to take care of, and it does have a decent set of wheels on it, so there are deals out there for $1,500. So let's start the running total at $1,500, and then I'll add on all the other stuff that it takes to be able to get the body looking like that. So the next thing that was important to me on this build was to be legal and to be safe. So the next thing on our list to add here is going to be the stuff that we need to do that. And that's going to be the tail lights, headlights, and all of that kind of stuff so that we can be legal to actually drive it down the street, and some belts so that we can be safe if we wanted to actually go racing with this thing. Plus, most sanctioning bodies are going to want you to have some belts in there anyways. So let's add those up onto the list. So we really only got one other thing to talk about, and then we could actually have a running and driving car, and that is some shop supplies. And anytime you're doing something, there's always going to be some cost of some shop supplies, and most of the time it's kind of minimal depending on what it is. But when you're doing a project as big as this, you're definitely going to have some expense there that you're going to have to figure in. Because, you know, things like these get expensive. Yeah, now you know why I don't play sports. So, let's go ahead and add a little bit to the total for those, and then you can see where we'd be at if we were just wanting to build a car with a stock motor in it, but still look cool. Gotta turn on the welder. So now you guys can see with that total, that's actually pretty doable for a lot of people. There's a lot of people spend way more money than that just on stuff like beer and cigarettes and lottery tickets if you figure it up over a few months or whatever. So pretty feasible to do. And I almost started there myself. The only thing that caused me not to go ahead and do that right off the bat is as soon as I started tearing this car apart, somebody hit me up about the motor and tranny, and they had an old Ford pickup that they were putting together, and they were looking for that motor and tranny to put in there. Not really sure why you'd go that route. You know, everybody's going LS these days, and there's so much more stuff for them. But that's what he was looking for, so I ended up selling that motor and tranny for $500. And that went a long ways towards, you know, the initial cost of the car and giving me some extra fundage to be able to go ahead and do some other things with it. So that's the reason why I didn't start out at that point as my kind of baseline budget build type thing. So I went ahead and did the LS stuff, as you guys already know. So let's go ahead and figure out what it costs to be able to put the LS motor in one of these cars. So LS swapping anything, this car or any other car, is going to vary all over the board on how much you want to spend and your options of where you want to spend it at. So the best advice that I can give you is to go ahead and get something that's used. Find something that runs and drives already, so you already know that it runs and drives, or at least it runs. A lot of times these 5.3s and stuff like that, you'll find them with blowed up trannies behind them, so you might not be able to drive them. But a lot of times that makes them cheaper so that you can get one that's just the motor. So that's something to keep in mind. And if you get something that is already complete and running, then you know you have all the parts and pieces that you're going to need down the line. So you're not trying to chase a bunch of stuff. You don't have to source any of that from anywhere else other than your donor vehicle. So you don't have any more expense than that. You also don't have any more time and trouble in that, because that can be a little bit of a pain as well. So a complete one, how much is that? Well, that's going to vary a little bit too. It's going to depend on what it is that you start out with. My suggestion there would be to probably start out with a 5.3 truck engine. They come in Tahoes, Suburbans, trucks, all that kind of stuff. So there are going to be millions and millions of those out there. And they've come down in price so much with there being so many of them in the salvage yards these days that you can pick them up for fairly inexpensive. A complete running motor, you can easily find at a salvage yard with all the parts and pieces on it, and even a computer for around $600. And if you're willing to take a chance, I've seen them on Craigslist and Facebook for $200-300 even. But you're trusting somebody on Craigslist or Facebook, to be honest with you, that it is a good engine, so you don't really have any guarantees there or anything like you would with a salvage yard that is going to usually give you a 30-day guarantee or something like that. So take that for what it's worth. Having that said, let's run the numbers and see how much this LS swap costs in this car. So pretty much the last thing we've got to add to our list is stuff like this, some paint and some of the final touches to kind of give it the final finish. So let's add that in and get the grand total. Real quick before I give you guys the total, do me a favor, go down below, hit the subscribe button, hit the little bell so that you guys get the notifications of when the next videos come out. Because the build process of this car is only the first part of this whole thing. We're going to go out and have all kinds of fun with this thing. I want to hit all kinds of racetracks, and I want to do all kinds of cool stuff with it, and you guys are going to want to see those videos. So go down there, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell. All right, now for the total. Was it worth it? You guys be the judge and leave your comment down below on what you think.